rooms if they are ready. Michael, we are working on them. Are they ready to go? As we said, we tried working on them.
Ready.
They're ready to go. Okay. So yeah, we try to mix it up so you're not with the same people that if you were here last month. So you're meeting new people. So feel free to open the rooms, Michael. And
see you in 30 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'll be floating around, so I might come and visit and say hello, see if you need any help. But enjoy, have fun, be open, exchange, and learn. And I look forward to hear your insights once we come back. Okay. All right, so welcome back, everyone. Wonderful. So let's start with room number one. We had Alistair, Alex, Andrenaci, Selema from all the way from Cape Town, David Cooper, and Zach. So what were the key themes of the discussion, and which question did you guys select to explore?
So I think Alistair won the prize because he guided us into selecting the question. Alistair, why don't you start the question and then we can all help out? It was question number 8, by the way.
Yes.
The one that we chose. Yeah.
Question number 8. So we did a bit of a straw poll to pick a number. So the question is, have you experienced a transition from a toxic culture into a healthy culture? And how was the process? So apart from just resigning and throwing everything up in the air and storming out, we had a few stories from some of the group members talking about that sort of theme. So maybe we can just have a bit of a recap from each.
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, there's a couple of things that are important for that transition to get out of that. Is always have an open mind and in my mind, stop judging and making assumptions. I mean, those two things to me are pretty risky. Number one. Number two, I mean, meaningful conversation is a label, right? Like we're talking about Alistair, great work, great place to work, best people. I hate all these labels because I used to say at Natalie at Accenture, oh, we have the best people. And I say, we have the best people. What about the others? Do they have the bad people? Right? So I think we need to be mindful that actually there's good people everywhere and there's great places to work everywhere, but we make that, not an organization and not a label, not a policy, right? So I think in the transition out of toxicity, I think to me is be you, right? And I have bosses that have told me that I cannot wear a cap in a Zoom call, and I told them that I was sorry, that was me, that I will wear a cap or a beanie or a pajama, right? I will be respectful, but I will wear those things in my hair, right? So, but I think David had also a great experience of a horrible place and then a place that he was loved and kissed and hugged, right, David?
Got mute again. So I went from a very toxic environment to one of the best environments I've ever worked in my whole career, which is, the Australian Ballet. I literally walked into that office on my very first day and got hugged and kissed by half the organization. I nearly had a heart attack because I was thinking there's a HR disaster. But what the ballet taught me was actually, it's okay to be you. And they made me the best I can be. And they allowed me to be me. So, I went from this really toxic environment where, the executive would sit up in meeting rooms with vendors and you in there and say, we have no faith in you. And there's a point where you go, that's my trigger point. I cannot manage up, cannot manage aside, I cannot influence. It's time for me to leave. And I found this organization, they found me. And, I think the first couple of months was really difficult because I'd been in such a toxic relationship, in a toxic workplace. But then I sat back and said, let me just be me. And they did. And, I had one of the best experiences of my life. That's it for me.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make when you mention being in a toxic relationship, because for all the time that people spend at work, if you if you were single and you met somebody and you spent a few months with them and you figured out that this person wasn't right for you, you would not persevere with it. You know, you'd make a decision pretty quickly. I think people, there is a perception, and probably quite rightly, that if you go into an organisation and it's not the right organisation for you, you have to stick it out for a period of time so that people don't question you for leaving.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, you know, something that people need to get over. When I working in, you know, what I do, the question around why have people only been in a role for a year or 6 months has absolutely diminished over time. It's asked a lot less now, particularly at the kind of senior level, but it still goes on. And I know people who are fantastic at what they do. They've gone into a business that has turned out to be the completely wrong fit for them. They've been, you know, sold down the river, red herring, whatever you want to call it. But they feel like they have to stick it out for 6 months or 12 months just so it doesn't reflect badly on them. So just kind of interesting the way they phrased that, David.
Yeah, look, it's you spend so much time at work, and I was working 17 hours a day on a critical project. I actually felt married to the work, right? It felt like a relationship because I was either at home or I was at the office. And it's that breakup, and it's actually liberating sometimes to actually go, I'm leaving. So yeah, that was my experience. And, you know, I've never looked back, and I'm now in this, working for this mental health organization, and it's amazing. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, rule number one. What a wonderful question you selected, and really good to hear from you all. I have many questions I'd like to explore and double click, but we don't have time, so I'm going to move on to rule number two. Rule number two had Peter, Alexander Gaendling, Rob, and Soph. So which question did you select, guys, and how did you go with the discussion, please?
All right.
Who was voluntold?
I don't think we volunteered anyone, but I'll start. So we did start at the top, so the components of the declaration, and there were a few things. We thought that it would be better just to highlight nurturing humanity a little bit, and also probably change client to customers just to focus a bit more, even from a internal perspective. But as we were reading through it, we thought we needed to remove it a little bit to make it a bit more powerful. So the elements are all there, but potentially shortening it would actually make it a bit easier to digest. And the thoughts were basically from, we understand, or where is it? We understand that a healthy work environment has a direct impact on the bottom line. Perhaps that's not so much focused on the culture, down to even attracting the recognized industry leaders and the best IT brains. Almost by either removing that or at least shortening that, that would bring the other components which were more focused on the actual healthy culture to light and strengthen that. Probably we were, I don't think we quite finished. We were talking about the potential to remove the bit about the Great Place to Work awards, but that was contentious. We didn't come to agreement. I think there was overall support around, I guess, reflecting the fact that there is obviously external awards, which if you do something that's great and is externally recognized, then it's justified to keep going. We touched on the most important component, and it really was that encouraging or nurturing humanity. I guess in the interest of time, that's it. Anything?
Thanks, Rob.
Anything else, team?
Would you like to add, Peter, Soph, or Alexander? We have a bit more time here. Let's be fair.
So just it didn't really resonate with me well, the actual declaration, itself, the call out that we bring humanity to IT. I think that in most companies, you know, people are treated in a humane way. I'd say most of them would be already there. It's about actually strengthening that, or endorsing, or find a different word than bringing, because bringing means there is nothing there today, and we need to bring something that's completely missing from the organization. I've worked for a lot of different organizations with different cultures, and back to what Alistair said about toxic cultures, even in a toxic culture company, there are elements of humanity, right? And I think our role is to find those elements and enhance them to build a culture which then will attract the talent, which will make them happy, all right? And I think we talked a lot about well-being as well, right? As an important component of that happiness within the team. So at least for me, that that call out doesn't really resonate well.
Thanks, Peter. Wonderful. Okay, some good discussions, clearly. Let's move on to rule number 3. So we had Jagmeet, Lisa, Simon, Simona, hang out with us still, and Barry. So who was the spokesperson for rule number 3 to give us a bit of a summary?
The shortest got dobbed in.
Yep. Thanks, Barry.
Okay. A lot of what's already been said, we also talked about, in particularly about the humanity of people that work in the organizations and the support. We felt some of the words needed to be flowing a lot more, easier, and probably rewritten so that it actually did have a flow through it. Some words we felt we could take out. So for example, we talked about we care for our people, but we didn't say why. We just said we care for our people. It was almost like a motherhood statement in the sense. But a lot of the things that we talked about, and we felt also, and sorry, coming back to, we actually picked the first question to answer. And what we talked about is, other than the humanity component, which a lot of us people have spoken about too, it's creating a safe environment where people can feel that they can step outside of their comfort zones, and they're not going to be crucified for it or in any way shamed. They will be supported, that there is a respect for them. And as a number of people, in particular Simon said, is, we come into an environment where we spend most of our waking life in, and we should be going out of it better people, or feeling better in ourselves and in growing in ourselves. And we should be doing that on a daily basis, because that's where we find, we're spending most of our waking moments in our lives. And there should be growth, there should be support in where we do it. And how do we bring that through the manifesto and also through the practices that we encourage not only the leaders to follow, but also the staff or the people that work as the teams, in that they are in an environment where they are going to be cared for. They are not going to be crucified if they put up their hand and say, listen, this is outside my boundaries, I don't want to do this, or this is not in line with my values, and feel safe enough to be able to say and express that. The other thing was about the validation of people, and also supporting them to enjoy the journey that they're doing, rather than being in a mad rush like the hare and tortoise, get to the end point and then, okay, what then? So it's supporting that, what we do.
Yes, Sophie's agreeing with you. Very, so psychological safety, which was a theme last month as well. So guys, I'd love to allow a bit of time, but I want to try to finish punctually. So thanks so much, Barry, for that summary as well. And as we wrap up, most of you are aware of this. So we're running roundtables monthly. The next one, pleased to share that Peter Orlowski, who is here, CIO for TransDev, he accepted, unless he changed his mind, he will be our guest speaker next month. So please save the date so you can enjoy the conversation with Peter on 17th of November. As mentioned as well before, we're looking for sponsors. So at the moment, Zen Hachiva, which is my one-on-one executive coaching practice for tech leaders, is the official sponsor, but we're looking for other organizations. So if you know a purpose-driven organization keen to get involved with us, let us know. And the feedback survey, I think Mike will be sharing on the chat shortly. Before you go, if you could take 2 minutes to answer those 4 questions here, would be wonderful. And yeah, as you are completing the feedback survey, so just some final announcements. Working group, I feel that Rob and Barry already made a really good contribution. By the way, Barry, we already incorporated your feedback, if you haven't noticed, on the manifesto. And I feel, Rob, that also could be a great addition to the working group. So I might follow up with you guys later. Again, 17th of November is the next roundtable, and LinkedIn group invitation you will receive if you haven't yet. So I wanted to say thank you, and please do help us to spread the word. If you feel that you got some value out of this discussion today, share the event with your peers, your teams. We really want to have a multidisciplinary team here, although we know the name of Communities Mindful CIO. You know, non-CIOs and CTOs are, of course, very welcome, as long as they are aligned with our purpose, our mission, our values. So yeah, follow our page on LinkedIn, like, comment, share our posts to help us with the algorithm. And hopefully I'll see you on the 17th of November here for our last session for the year. So thank you all. Feel free to, excuse yourself. If you want to hang out for another few minutes, I'm happy to stay.
And thank you for the book. It came yesterday.
You're welcome.
So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great evening. I'm going to read it. Thank you.
Cheers. Pleasure.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.